What is going on, my fellow vegans, my fellow plant-based foodies? Welcome to another episode of the Fit Foodie Podcast, the place for plant-based foodies that want to lose weight, feel great, and elevate their lives. Thank you so much for joining me today, guys. In today's episode, I'm going to share my personal story of how I lost more than 50 pounds when I first went vegan and my journey throughout the years as a vegan. Excited for this one. Let's get right into it. So, a little bit of backstory just before I went vegan back in 2007, we're talking more than 15 years ago. I've always been a foodie, hence the title of my podcast, Fit Foodie Podcast. I've always been a foodie, love to snack. I reached a point in my life where I ended up gaining a lot of weight, and I was at a point where I was over 210 pounds. And for me, my body type, that is overweight. Even though I had always been an athlete all my life, growing up playing soccer and basketball and just loving sports. When I got to college, still not vegan yet, I let myself kind of get out of control and ended up gaining. There's this thing we call the freshman 15, where freshmen in college, gain about 15 pounds, eating late night fast food and staying up late, eating a bunch of junk and all that nonsense. But I ended up getting more like freshman 30. And I just gained a lot of weight. And I let myself get to a point when I finished college where I still wasn't vegan yet. I was over 210 pounds. And for me, that was a lot of weight to carry. And honestly, for me, being overweight, 210 pounds, for me, that was about 50 to 60 pounds overweight. So technically, medically speaking, I guess you could say I was obese at that point for my body type and my body frame, 210 pounds. And initially, I didn't choose to go vegan because I wanted to lose weight. It wasn't a weight loss journey. My 50-pound weight loss journey was kind of like a byproduct of choosing to go vegan. So in about out of around 2007, I decided to make the change. At that point, I had already finished college. I was still overweight. I had recently gotten over a breakup with my girlfriend for 5 years, and I just was like living the single life and just kind of not really having that much direction and just not having any fitness routine, any kind of anything, just standard American diet, right? Always being a foodie, eating out a lot, fast food, and all that mess. And I ended up, like I said, around 210 plus pounds. And for me, that's overweight, right? And so what around that time, I started to learn a little bit about veganism through a couple of friends, and also my cousin who was living with us at that time went vegan first, and he kind of was telling me about his journey, what was going on, and I was interested, but I really wasn't like fully into it yet until one time we were hanging out and we sat down and watched this film called Eating DVD. Now, what interested me the most in that movie was a lot of the common sense discussion and approach about the benefits for health, the benefits for the environment, the benefits for just physical fitness, and of course the part of the animals, which honestly I could not sit and watch. I can't watch that. I don't need to know what happens and watch that in order to be convinced. So I skipped that part. But from that point on, I pretty much said, you know what? This makes total sense to me. I'm going to choose a vegan diet from here on out. And I pretty much went vegan overnight, right? Hasn't been the perfect journey, but I chose that lifestyle pretty much overnight. And at that point, I began my teaching career. It was my first year teaching back in 2007. It was my first year being a teacher and also becoming this uh, vegan and having this vegan lifestyle. And I ended up slowly but surely just transforming the way I felt. My energy felt better. And initially, I ended up losing a good amount of weight at the beginning because it was like I went from standard American diet to all of a sudden it was a switch into a plant-based diet, just like that overnight from standard American being over 210 pounds to just plant-based diet, vegan diet. My body shifted pretty quickly in those few 6 to 12 months that I first started, and I lost a significant amount of weight. Overall, within the first few years, I ended up losing more than 50 pounds because it was a drastic shift for me. Growing up as a standard American diet and going vegan ended up being a big change for me. And so what that was obviously a big benefit. Now, I didn't go initially like I said, because I wanted to lose weight. That wasn't the reason I joined. I became a vegan because I wanted to lose weight. It just so happened that my reasons for going vegan, the health of the environment, the health benefits that just were very convincing to me, and just the idea of exploring different plant-based foods and these amazing colorful, eating the rainbow, and all this stuff just appealed to me, that the weight loss just naturally happened. And I ended up losing over 40 pounds at the beginning. And as it continued, it ended up being total about 50 pounds in the first few years that I went vegan. And it wasn't, it was just this beautiful transformation that I was like, man, this is awesome. And I enjoyed the weight loss. I ended up naturally, because of the weight loss, getting back into more activity. I always grew up being an athlete, playing soccer and being active in sports and playing basketball with friends and things like that. It wasn't until losing that initial weight that I actually got into fitness and intentionally pursued an active lifestyle where, I would go running, I would do workouts, home workouts, workout routines and plans. Although I didn't have much structure, I didn't know much of what I was doing at first. It ended up being a pretty good situation because I just naturally had the energy to pursue fitness, and I got into fitness, right? And so after the initial weight loss, I I never really truly lost the habits that I picked up that I had all my life, which was when I was on the standard American diet, the habits of just eating late, uh, being a big fan of fast food, being a fan of eating out at restaurants, and also not tracking anything. I mean, I just ate, for the most part, healthy plant-based foods, a lot of fruit, right? There was a one point during my vegan journey that I geared more towards the raw vegan style lifestyle, mostly like a raw till four lifestyle where you have mostly raw foods all day long, and then in the evening it was like a cooked meal, right? And for years I did this raw approach where I ate a lot of fruit and I loved it. I felt good. I felt good energy, even though I never really was tracking, right? But at the same time, even though I was having a lot of raw fruits, raw vegetables, greens, juices, I was really into that type of veganism. I still had my old habits of eating out a lot, going to restaurants and ordering like, the chips and salsa and the big portions and things like that. And not really being consistent with a specific type of meal plan that I followed, even though I was doing a lot of healthy foods for the most part. Most of my diet was healthy food. So as a result, because of sticking to those old habits, my I pretty much stuck to my body initially losing that weight. I ended up having more of like a skinny fat look, right? And I've mentioned this before in previous episodes and previous lives that I carried with me. I looked lean when I wore clothing and in group photos, and when I would go out, I looked lean. But obviously, when I was looking at myself in the mirror, I could tell I didn't have much muscle on my frame. I carried a lot of belly fat, and for me, that's my quote unquote problem area, was the belly fat for me, right? Like my legs, I've always had pretty toned, strong legs just growing up playing soccer. That's, my wife tells me that's her favorite her favorite part about me, right? Right, my legs. But anyways, it was mostly my belly area, right? My belly fat area where I had the issue, most of my problems. And I noticed I carried that skinny fat look, and I later came to learn that the skinny fat look is a result of having little muscle and being a little too over fat, which you're carrying excess fat. And so the combination of carrying, even though it wasn't a lot of body fat on my frame, having little muscle, the combination of little muscle plus belly fat is what gave me that skinny fat look during those many years. Even though I had initially lost the 40 to 50 pounds at the very beginning, I mean, I had a pretty dramatic transformation because I had old habits that still stuck, even though I was eating a lot of healthful meals and more plant-based foods, right? I ended up maintaining more of a skinny fat look, not that fit toned look that I really sought, right? This wasn't until more recent years when I actively sought the guidance of a coach who taught me how to track macros, who taught me how to understand my protein, carbs, and fats on a vegan diet, what I should be eating for my body type, for my goals of fat loss and putting on muscle. It wasn't until then that I transformed my body to a more fit, lean, strong look, and I continued to put on muscle. And I could see when I look in the mirror, I no longer have that flabbiness around my tummy. I can see my abs. I mean, they're not like popping as much as I would like yet. I still have more muscle to build, but it's a journey, right? And it's a journey that I've been learning. And in more recent times, more recent years, I have been able to understand the power of habits, and those old habits which were programmed in me and stuck with me from growing up as a kid and eating the standard American diet, that even though I had transformed and lost all that weight, those old habits that kept me skinny fat, I was able to really take a step back and look at, okay, what was I doing? What did I need to do? What did I learn that I can continue to implement to take away those habits and be as consistent as I possibly could with my meal plan, with tracking my macros, with staying consistent with a workout plan, because for years I would have a workout plan that I would do for like a year or two, and then fall off of it, or a couple months. It was more like a few months and then fall off, a couple weeks, and then I would fall off. I never had a consistency where I would, month in, month out, after a year or two, follow a game plan of like building muscle or gaining whatever sport skill endurance that I was working. I never had a plan. It was just like, let me work out to work out for the sake of moving, right? And so that's another thing. In recent years, I've had the opportunity to, because of working with the coach, because of getting the guidance with the coach, I stuck to a plan, understood what progressive overload meant, to progressively overload the weights that I was doing, the sets and reps that I was doing to gain muscle and to transform from that skinny fat look, right? So it's been an incredible journey. And I still, to this point, even though I'm the fittest I've ever been in my 40s, than I ever was in my 20s or 30s. I still continue to learn and implement and change old habits, change old ways that benefit me and have continued to allow me to make progress in my fitness journey, right? So the main takeaway here is that I want you guys to take from this live and from this episode is that regardless of where you're at, because honestly, even though I went vegan in my early 20s and lost a lot, all that weight at the very beginning because of the drastic change in my diet, um, the more even though that was dramatic, I feel like in more recent years, the last 2 or 3 years, the change has been even more dramatic. Even though we're not talking about the 50-pound weight loss anymore, we're talking about building the consistency and the habits to transform then from just this lean, skinny fat to fit, strong, building muscle. I can see my six pack, my chest is building, I'm building stronger legs, and so on. The big takeaway here is yes, we want to go for the weight loss goal, but we want to maintain that weight loss and not yo-yo back into gaining that weight back. And we also want to understand the habits that are going to keep us consistent. Because that's honestly what's been helping me so much more. And that's made a dramatic difference in my current fitness, right? And what I'm working at now is understanding the habits, changing things that I know, making tweaks that I know could help me, and being as consistent as I can. And I say consistent as I can because you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be 100% every single day of the month. Just try to do the right things most of the time, right? And that's the key, right? So it's a matter of putting those things into practice, guys, and that's what it comes down to, right? And it's been an incredible journey. I've enjoyed, made a lot of mistakes, but I've had an incredible experience and I never look back. I just see myself living a vegan lifestyle forever. And for years, I've been posting on social media about, not really like as consistent as I am now, but posting about the meals that I'm having, the recipes that I've discovered, the smoothies, the green juice cleanses that I've done in the past, doing the raw veganism and the juice cleanses and all the recipes that I love and that stand out to me. Now being a vegan nutrition coach and being a certified nutritionist, I focus more on, for fat loss clients that want to lose weight in a specific amount of time, and sharing the meals recipes and macros being carbs, proteins, and fats for those specific people and how to structure their meals to do those things, right? And this is just from an experience that I've had throughout the years, right? And enjoying the journey. That's the most important thing. Even though it hasn't been easy and I've made a lot of mistakes, I've always enjoy the entire process because I know that number one, the main reasons that I first went vegan is still my primary reasons, and that's the freedom and love of all the animals, right? The environmental benefits and the health aspects, the health benefits, right? Those continue to be my driving forces. It never was about wanting to look good or lose weight, even though those were benefits that came with it, of course, and the aesthetics now is part of it, but those weren't like the primary driving factors for me. It was those continue to be my foundation, and even to this day, and I'm happy to be able to change my body and get that aesthetic look, right? And still now, but I still have my foundation as, it's for the animals, the environment, the health of my body, the health of my mind, the health of the planet, and sharing this journey and sharing the benefits with others, guys. So one big thing I want to leave you with here is part of my journey in losing 50 pounds and how I lost it by going plant-based and transforming into more of a macro tracking approach, which for me has even taken it to another level. The initial 50 pounds came from standard American to plant-based overnight. That's why I had such a dramatic change over the course of those first few months and years. But now it's more of how my relationship with food has benefited, has changed, right? How my relationship with food has become more positive, right? I see food as fuel, as nutrition, and not as, I mean, I still enjoy eating out and eating for pleasure. And especially during the holidays, I see food as a way to family to come together. But I changed my relationship with food, and through this journey, that's been one of the biggest benefits is food is fuel. Food is nutrition. And the way I see it now is I am nourishing myself with food. And like I said, I do enjoy going out and in having the feeling of having pleasure, food for pleasure, but I don't see it as the primary reason for why I want food, just to please myself, right? It's more of like I'm nourishing myself, I'm fueling my body right, I'm fueling my fitness goals, right? And I encourage you guys to, if you haven't yet, get on your journey, get on your fitness journey. And if you're on one now, stay consistent as possible, right? Understand that everyone has their own struggles, everyone has their own challenges, but you can overcome through consistency. You will learn what works for you. You will learn the skills that you need to maintain your weight, to reach your weight loss goal and to maintain it, right? And to have that positive relationship with food, which makes a huge, huge difference, guys. So take the first step if you haven't done so. Hopefully you found this episode, this live, valuable. Just sharing a little bit about my journey of how I lost 50 pounds, and it's been an incredible journey. I'm grateful for all of it. I'm grateful for the lessons that I've learned, the mistakes that I made, and the lesson that I've learned from those mistakes, and now the opportunity to share this message with others and to impact lives through the power of social media and the power of the internet, and sharing this message of the vegan lifestyle with others. And I hope you found this inspiring, and you hope you found this helpful and useful. And as always, you can find my page, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Luis Medrano on Facebook, Luis_R Medrano on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook. I share my tips, the skills that I've learned, how to lose weight, how to maintain your weight, fitness tips, all about this vegan lifestyle so that you can receive the vegan value that you need to make progress in your journey. So go have a follow on my pages if you haven't done so already. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. Hopefully you enjoy this live and this episode. Stay tuned, guys, because I'm dropping my goal for 2025 is 52 or more episodes. And I think this is episode number 6. So I believe this is episode 33 in the podcast and number 6 of this year. My goal is 52 or more, at least one a week. So stay tuned, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Have an amazing rest of your day. Peace, love, and I'll see you on the next one.